Okay, so we've covered the history of rugby league in Canada and the USA in previous videos. We're now looking at the history of rugby league in Jamaica. Now, the history of the sport in Jamaica only goes back to 2005, when the national championship is set up. And since 2005 until now, it has been fantastic growth. The national side has come on leaps and bounds. The Reggae Warriors, on their third attempt, they qualified for a World Cup. So, in a very short space of time, they've gone from establishing the first four club sides to qualifying for a World Cup in a very, very short space of time, which is a fantastic achievement. And that is in a 13-year period. So 2005 rolls along and four teams set up the first ever National Club Championship. At peak, so it has contracted a little bit, it was 20 teams by 2013. It's currently at 8 teams that play the top level in Jamaica. And by 2011, the Hurricanes Rugby League is set up, which is the junior development program. So in the early days, rapid expansion, contracts a little bit, and they stabilise. Now let's have a look at their national side's history. So 2009, the first ever test match is played against the USA. So in 4 years, they've gone from setting up 4 club teams to playing their first ever test match. That wouldn't happen in Western Europe, it wouldn't. Now they lost 37 points to 22 against a more established side. The USA's got a more established national programme. There's no shame in that. 2011 is when they first decided to try and qualify for a World Cup. They contest the qualification for the 2013 World Cup. Ultimately, they're unsuccessful in that qualification campaign. 2015, the same process. They enter qualification for the 2017 World Cup, and again they are unsuccessful in qualification. 2018 is the key year because that year the Americas Rugby League Championship, which they win, is also classed as the qualification championship for the 2021 World Cup. They defeat Canada 38 points to 8, and they defeat the USA, who beat them in their first ever test match, 16 points to 10 to qualify for the 2021 World Cup here in England. Now obviously COVID hits a year and a half later, which obviously disrupts everything. And so the 2021 World Cup is delayed a year. So they finally make their debut at a World Cup in 2022. Now, yes, they lost all 3 group games. They didn't get a win, but they were highly entertaining. They had some unorthodox tactics that were quite entertaining as well, that even the great New Zealand side couldn't really cope with at times. That frustrated New Zealand and made things difficult. They scored their first ever try in World Cup, the main competition against New Zealand. And they were very enjoyable to watch and were great ambassadors for the small island nation of Jamaica. So the Reggae Warriors, I want to see them qualify for the next World Cup. I believe they can. I think the wheels of motion and growth have definitely started turning. And considering that Jamaica as a country is more, if you are an athlete, you play cricket or track and field athletics, and to a certain extent association football or soccer. They're more popular sports on the island of Jamaica. Rugby league, until 2005, was not participated. There was no players playing the sport. So obviously, for some reason in 2005, enough people were put their hands up to play, and now they have a fully functioning 8-team top-tier league. So currently there's 500 registered players. The top domestic league is the Jamaica Rugby League. 8 teams currently compete in that. Some of their names are fantastic. I love some of their names. You've got the Duhani Park Red Sharks, the Jamaican Defence Force Warriors, the Lagunia Dragons, the Portmore Rugby League, Spanish Town Vikings. How did Vikings ever get to Jamaica? The West Kingston Hyenas. Hyenas are an African animal, so that's an interesting one. The Washington Boulevard Red Bulls. There you go. And the Young Crocs Academy. So there's your 8 teams that currently compete in the domestic competition. But considering in the last 18 years, they've gone from only 4 amateur teams to qualifying for a World Cup and setting up a domestic competition. That is fantastic. Look at the struggles that Canada and the USA have had. Canada, they've tried all sorts. The USA, they've tried all sorts. Both those nations failed to qualify for the last World Cup. An island nation in the Caribbean with about, 4 million people? 3 million people? Where this is not a well-participated sport. 500 players in total, when most kids are playing cricket or are, doing track and field athletics in the NCAA university system. Obviously, you've got football players who played in the Premier League. This is a sport in its infancy manages to beat more established nations like the USA and Canada. That's fantastic. So there you go. There's a brief history, and it really is brief because the sport's only been played in Jamaica since 2005 of rugby league in Jamaica. Thank you very much for watching. Please place your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll have some more content for you very, very soon.